Hey everybody, this is Matt from End Sickness. Today I'm going to be talking about something that was really important to me. It's my daughter's recovery story in extreme detail, like I've never done before. And I always wanted to share this and be able to help someone who's going through a similar circumstance with it. So let me first say I'm not a medical doctor. This is not medical advice. This is for information and educational purposes only. Obviously, this is based on my personal experience. So let me say first, to kind of cut straight to the point here, I got custody of my daughter when she was 18 months. She was in a difficult situation. She was not being taken care of. Long story short, she had just her whole immune system was a wreck when I got her. She had rashes. She had chronic cough. She clearly had food sensitivities. She had issues with learning, etc. I never understood what was going on from the beginning, and I always thought it was something that was like a pathogen, or there was some deficiency, or there was something I had to fix with supplements that was gonna help her get better. So I tried to give her supplements, but she was so young, you didn't want to give a 2-year-old supplements, so I just kind of did what I could to avoid the things that I thought were making it worse, like your gluten and your sugar and candies and things that were obvious that I shouldn't be giving her. But at some point in time, it got much, much worse where I couldn't ignore it anymore. And we moved into a house that I later realized had really severe mold issues, and it really made it obvious what the root cause was. But at the time, I really had no idea. I had been told about mold. I had refused to believe it, and I looked at everything else, like a pathogen, a parasite of fungus, Candida, Lyme. Everything you could think of was the possibility except for mold, right? So what happened is we moved into this house, and suddenly her eczema gets so much worse that it's all down her legs to the point she's itching until she bled. She's convulsing in her sleep. Her eyes are starting to cross. She's having strange reactions to everything I give her food-wise. She's reacting to different supplements. She's having asthma attacks. It just was all very unexplainable, and it all just went downhill so quickly. I didn't understand it. I just thought maybe it was more recognizable now that she was older. But I tried everything I could, knowing what I could from my own healing. I tried to get her better, but I couldn't, because what I did was I tried supplements, and when I gave her supplements, she had a reaction to them. She'd have behavioral issues, or she'd be itching all over, or she would have a really abnormal reaction, get rashes all over, whatever. And I really didn't know what to do with the supplements, so I couldn't use any supplements at all, right? So with that out the window, all I knew what to do was just pay attention to what was happening with her, and remove the things that were causing her to become worse. So I started to pay really close attention to everything that she was eating, pay attention to everything she was doing. The things that were like TV, video games, things that were stimulating her, were setting her off. All kind of foods, meat, animal products, any type of gluten, dairy, nuts, seeds, eggs. I mean, almost everything other than vegetables, fruits, potatoes, rice, beans. And even then at the time, those were setting her off. But the reality is, I was stuck there for a while, and I didn't know what to do. And then luckily what happened was, she went to a school that we put her in, and the environment in that school was clearly even worse than it was in my house. And she went there, and she clearly got much, much worse quickly, and went backwards dramatically. And I realized that there was definitely an environmental connection there, because she was in that building. She would come out, her eyes would look glossy, her face would be blotch red. And by the end of the week, she was slurring her words. She wasn't retaining any information. She was just a mess, And I realized, wow, there's something in that building that's making her sick, but I didn't realize it was in my home, because that's where it always starts. Whenever you have a mycotoxin illness, it's always in your home, right? You don't get mycotoxin illness from, unless it's a really significant issue at work and you're there at work all day, So those are the places you really got to look out for. So anyways, I had to remove her from the school because things got so bad. She started having severe neurological symptoms. Her eyes were crossing like crazy. I mean, everything was just horrible. She wasn't remembering anything we were teaching her. Eventually got her out of there, and started homeschooling her, and saw some difference. But she was still reacting like crazy to chemicals and everything, having asthma attacks, having seizures, things like that. So I didn't really know what to do. And then luckily, I came across some information about how multiple chemical sensitivity was caused by mycotoxins, right? And I really got lucky coming across this information. So I really just, I believed it. I said, it's got to be it. I tested the house. I did some petri dish tests. There was black mold in the house. I could tell looking at all this black mold. And I said, okay, we're moving into a hotel and we're going to see what happens. And we moved into a hotel for 3 weeks, and I could start to see her tolerating supplements and foods better, in the redness on her face getting a little bit better, and she stopped itching as much at night, stopped convulsing in her sleep. A lot of good things started happening, but the reality was she wasn't better yet, but I could see she was getting better from getting out of that environment. So I was so concerned about signing a lease for, that I couldn't sign a lease, because if I sign a lease, then we would be stuck in the lease for a year like the last 2 times, and possibly she'd be sick, and I'd be stuck financially in this lease. So I didn't sign a lease. I just stayed in the hotel for like 8 months, and it was really amazing because she started to get better and better over time, and eventually, we changed locations, got into a warmer climate, and went ahead and just moved on with our life because she started to get better and better. And once we finally got out of the hotels and got into a brand new build, and she was doing so much better, but the key was when we got into the hotel, she was able to tolerate the supplements now. When she was tolerating the supplements now, she could start to get better. Now I could give her the colostrum, now I could give her the magnesium, I could give her the binders, I could give her all the things I need to get her better. And that was the critical point. So the environment was prohibiting her from being able to make any progress, and this is what I see with a lot of clients who have severe issues that look like my daughters and look like, other clients of mine, is that when there's certain level of environmental sensitivity that the person's literally disabled or unable to function normally in life, then there has to be a change in environment to be able to get better. So my daughter went from disabled, literally disabled and declared mentally retarded from a point away from mentally retarded on a test, to having no issues and being completely caught up with her learning for her age and completely symptom-free and well. And I thank God every moment for that, because that was the hardest 6 years of my life going through that. But finally she's well. And I do want to emphasize here, if you have a child that's struggling, someone that's struggling with an illness that just doesn't make sense, you cannot neglect mycotoxins, okay? Mycotoxins are absolutely the root cause to so many illnesses that people have no idea. It's just unbelievable, unbelievable. I keep seeing it over and over again. And luckily, this mymycolab.com test, the test for antibodies to mycotoxins, now is finally substantiating all these cases where people have hypersensitivities to mycotoxins, and it's making their systems flare up like crazy. And even though their levels in the urine are relatively low, they're still sicker than what from the mycotoxins, because they developed antibodies to them, and now in the presence of them, their body goes into a flare state like nothing else. So I just want to emphasize the story was, to me it was kind of hard to tell, but I'm happy and blessed now because my daughter is here, she's well, and it's all because I just finally discovered how significant mycotoxins were in how important it was to her healing. I can never even begin to tell you how important it was. Without getting out of the wrong environment, she would have never got better. I would have been unable to give her supplements to get her better, unable to give her the right foods. She'd be reacting to everything. Her neurological system would still be a mess. She'd be, quote unquote, autistic, And it's not, the last point I want to say is, I never believed in any diagnosis. I always knew that there was something that was causing this. I could see my child go in and out of her being herself. And I refused to believe that this was a permanent condition. And that was what allowed me to guide her out of this and find the answers. I would have never looked for mycotoxins or mold or anything like that if I thought this was a permanent condition or autism or whatever you want to call it, So don't ever give up. Incurable is just an opinion, okay? And I'm living proof, my daughter's living proof. So thanks for watching. Any other questions you have about my daughter's healing journey, please let me know. I'm happy to talk about it. Take care, everybody.